guys, welcome back. Okay, so the last video where I pretty much assembled the sharp block. So rod pistons are in the block, everything is gapped, everything has right clearance, and I also installed the bolts here, which are tore down to 16 pound-foot. I get go based off recommended specs. So I finally got this thing on, so I can actually show you easily. This thing rotates, so as you can see, just barely moving, and yeah, that's my crank. The whole crank drop out there. Anyway, yeah, perfectly fine. So spins freely. As you can see, I'm barely doing anything. So if I want to move, as you can see, that's there. That's just this crank just dropped a while ago. I just have this there for demonstration purposes for something specific. Right, so crank, everything, piston installed, spins freely. So what I'm going to be doing now is to be installing my oil pump. So alright, so I have obviously I have a K20, but this is a K20 A3. As I mentioned, I have a Type R block as well, but I have this oil pump, which is a 4-piston oil pump. You can see 4P, it's right there. And main difference between this oil pump and a regular Type S oil pump is that it's ported on the inside. So I've already pulled it up and put some assembly lube inside there already, because I'd cleaned it up pretty well, and I was put some assembly lube in there, so the startup is not that rough, because it makes no sense to put oil in there and then it could just could be moving the motor up and down. So yeah, so main difference between this and a regular one is that inside the gallery is where the oil run is ported. So stock one has some sharp edges, so what I'm do is just port the edges so that the oil flow faster. So it have increased oil pressure, and it can actually rev a little further than the OEM one. The baffle, this is a K20 baffle. It's different from the K24. So if you're going to K20 oil pump conversion, you're going to need the K20 oil pump, you're going to need a baffle, you're going to need a tensioner, which is this, you're going to need a chain. The sprockets are all the same for the 20 and 24, so this can stay. But for me now, I actually have a modified sprocket. So this is a stock one, right? So the stock one itself, the only thing that really holds it in is this pin, right? So once you put it onto the crankshaft, it lines up here with the pin, and it's usually right at top dead center, as you can see. So the arrow here points to it. Now the one that I have is a modified one. So as you can see right here, it has a little slit so that this keyway can go into it. So when you look at the crankshaft itself, you have this thing here. So not only have this to protect it, when you put it on, this slides on and also locks it in as well. And you'll need this as well. This comes with it, which is a modified sprocket, which the modification is really here to just accept the keyway. The stock one doesn't have this there. This is why I had this crank here. So this is the stock one. So as you see, there is no indentation for it to be accepted, right? And as I said, for this one, it just has this to lock it in, while this one has the keyway keyway and the sprocket to lock it in. So additional insurance in terms of installation, stock one doesn't come with it as is. So yeah, so that's what you need to install the oil pump. So I'm going to go ahead now and install it. I'm going to first put on the baffle and then put on the pump, and then you'll see. Alright, so the baffle itself can only go on one direction and everything will just line up. It's not the best looking one. I think this one looks better, but if you look right here, it has a slight little nick. When I put it on, it really doesn't affect anything, but rather function over form. There's nothing wrong with any one of these ports, so I work with it. Because this was a A3, even though it's a K20, it didn't come with the K20 oil pump. I think those oil pumps only come into the type S or type R. So if you have I think if you have the Z, even if you have the SIs in terms of the Z's and so forth, I think that still come with a big oil pump. So anyway, long and short, still do the modification or remove the pin and put a bolt in just to ensure that the oil pressure is there. So you just install the 6 bolts. Try these. As you know, typically I would just put a little oil on them and then I'll install them. I don't need to have no torque specs for these. You know, kind of hand tighten them, and then next I'll put on the oil pump. Alright, so let's put them on the bolts. Some oil. Time lapse this, so you don't have to sit here and wait. Alright, so just to ensure that everything still spins, so I'll still just rotate it just to make it super not touch. It shouldn't anyway, but yeah, perfect. Alright, so baffle on. It's time to put on the oil pump and chain. So what you want to do is to put on the sprocket on. So let's make sure I have this safe in play. Very important. But I'm gonna put this on here, and then I put the chain and then use it. Take this off. There's only one way I can put it on, and as I said, this keyway will line up to right here, so on the crank, and yeah, and then you just put from there. So just kind of line it up. On, turn it, you see it's locked. So this is where it will lock onto, right? So you can spin freely and then lock. And then what will happen is that the keyway will typically slide in here and then go here. So this would go on here, lock in, and then everything will be able to lock in. But not ready for that part yet, so so there's no timing on the pump or anything like that. You just simply put it on, it goes on to the big sprocket part again. So I already have the bolts here in, ready for it. And everything should just pretty much kind of line. So I want to do is probably just take this, put it over, and let's just make it a little bit. Pretty much I need to like that. So that's pretty much it. And then put in the bolts. So one more, some additional, and this one. That's what we usually like with some Alright, so I've installed the pump, I've torqued on the bolts, right here. What's next? The time, the tension of this. So as I said, I have DC Sport timing chain guide. So what I did was kind of hang the chain guide on, because I realized when watching other videos that when I put on the chain guide, when it's time to put on the chain itself, which is the timing chain, you have to take off what this or pull this back apart and then put the chain on or whatever. So I'm gonna put the chain on ahead of time, as in just put it on. So I've already lined it up to the mark that it should be. So there is actually a little line on the sprocket itself. I don't know if you can see it. Let me see if I can bring it closer. So if you can see, it's right there. So that line, that blue, because my timing something is not gold, is black. So that black thing should line up with that right there. So I already did that. I can set this back up. Right. Hopefully that's good enough. Right. So I'm just going to install the OEM one with the guide itself. So as I mentioned before, you get two bolts. Get a tall one and a short one. Tall one goes to the top, short one goes to the bottom. So tall one to the top, one to the bottom. So I'm just gonna install it and show you guys. We're gonna I think this should flip around. I think so. What's gonna happen is gonna come here. And this is going to be the link. Oh, yeah, it's gonna go like this. Alright. So tall one goes to the top, which is here. So that's how you install the guide. So as you can see, it would have been pretty difficult for me to try to put it on as is. So when I put on the chain again, we'll have to take this off and then try to slide it on. So I just kind of just hang the chain on, set it where it's supposed to be, and then install the guide. So I just remember to tighten these down. So I'm going to put on the next tensioner, which is this one, which I believe goes. Where is this going? There's more. Alright, so to install the stock tensioner on the oil pump itself, there are 3 slots right here, right here, and here. Just pretty much kind of line it up, and usually if you buy it new, there's a pin that would, you know, have this push back, so, and then you just pop it open, but given that that's not the case, then it's very, there's not much tension, so you can simply just push it back. So I'll clean it up a little bit. Alright, so just kind of line it up, and by the time you line it up, the tension that's there, that will be perfectly fine. So I have the bolts here. So I'll just try to just use my hand, catch one. Install the tensioner for the pump, and I say guides. So nothing is tightened down, so let's tighten it down. That has a tension on it. Good. Yeah, alright, so that's installed and everything is there. So as you can see, the guides and everything is on. I haven't torqued down anything yet. I've tightened these down already, and I tightened that down. So I'm gonna wrap it up for this video, and for the next video now we're gonna put on the head. So that's include the gasket, putting it over the head stud, those, torquing it down, put on the RP loop, and then also putting on all the guides and everything for the timing chain, getting ready to put on the cam caps. So thanks for watching. So I'll catch you on next episode, which is I just put on the head. And I know this might look away, but it's just rust, not dirt or anything like that. So I already use like a razor and try to scrape it off, but unless I probably like spray it over, yeah, at the end of the day it's like a lock up, you won't see it. So anyway, again, thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.
Wallan real gangster. Wallan TV, them bad but them a actor. Plasma.